this once. And I want to subscribe.
Car D Kaizoku.
This video is sponsored by Card Market, Europe's largest online marketplace for trading card games. This video is sponsored by Sleeve Chief. Their latest release, the Brothers Strategy Collection, comes out September 5th. It comes with a deck box featuring Doflamingo and Rosinante. It also features a Rosinante and Doflamingo sleeve, border sleeve, 2-player playmat. So if you're excited for this Don Quixote release, don't keep your wallet waiting and pick this up when it releases on September 5th. And use my code CARDKaizoku for 5% off your order. Alright, we're picking back up with the 09 set review. We did the colors red, green, and blue in yesterday's video. I'll have it linked in the description below in case this is the first one you're watching and you're watching out of order. This is part 2 actually, so check out part 1 if you want to know what I think about the other half of the set. So let's go back to where we left off. We were at purple, right? With the new Luffy leader. So 5000 power, purple, black. They really want to make this color combination work. This is the third purple black leader, I believe, right? There's King and what's that guy's name? The Impel Down guy. No, that's Magellan. I'm thinking of Zephyr. But yeah, we're looking at Luffy here. So purple black Luffy. Dawn times 1, all your characters get +1 cost. That makes it so that your characters are harder to KO via cost, right? Other than red, everything else kind of KOs via cost. Red KOs via power. So this is a generally kind of strong effect, right? For just 1 Dawn on your leader, you want to put Dawn on your leader to attack with anyways sometimes. And this is especially relevant if you want to play that starter deck Sanji, starter deck 14, the new black starter deck, the 3D2Y Sanji. Because, yeah, he needs a 6-cost body out to KO something, and he himself is a 5-cost body. So if you have Dawn on your leader and you play that Sanji, he makes himself 6 costs. So you can run him in either this Luffy deck or the pure black Luffy deck. But yeah, that's just one card. Let's just take a look at the rest of the leader ability. So during your turn, once per turn, when 2 or more Dawn cards on your field are returned to your Dawn deck, you can add up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck is active and another one is rested. So whenever you -2 Dawn, you basically get it back, right? So it makes it so your Dawn -2 effects are essentially free. And then cards that have Dawn minus effects usually have pretty strong effects tied to it because that cost of -2 Dawn is pretty steep. This Luffy lets you like bypass that detriment. Now the caveat is that Dawn -1 effects don't get affected by this, so you're pretty limited on what you can get value out of in the Dawn -2 department unless you look at the rest of the cards in 09. Yeah, I already kind of know how this deck plays, but yeah, just from my early testing, this is going to be one of the stronger leaders of the set too. And I'm only comparing it with Shanks and Buggy and Lim and Robin. In the overall meta, I guess we'll have to see because it's going to be like a completely Wild Wild West meta too because Red Purple Law just got banned and then Lucci loses Ennie's lobby. So we're really going to have to see what fills in the power vacuum that they left and if these 09 leaders can even compete in that new meta, which I think they can. I think Shanks and Luffy are probably the 2 standout candidates to being meta in 09. But yeah, let's take a look at the rest of the cards. Oh, never mind. There's another purple leader. I guess Robin counts as yellow. So Nico Robin is a 5000 power purple yellow leader. And yeah, she has banish as a keyword, the leader itself. So whenever you deal damage with Robin, your opponent trashes the life and it doesn't go to their hand, right? It doesn't trigger either. This makes it so that she's a potent threat always. Your opponent always wants to counter your leader hits. And then as Robin, you want to make it as awkward as possible for your opponent to defend against your leader hits. And then as a secondary effect when attacking, you can discard a card with trigger from your hand and then you can ramp 1, rest it Dawn. I mean, that's nice. You get kind of guaranteed ramp built into your leader ability. You do have to trash a card and you have to attack as well. But that's not too horrible of a thing. And the fact that we're a part yellow deck means we have a bunch of triggers to pull from. And purple has a lot of good triggers too. These are probably the 2 most trigger heavy colors. So Robin's got that going for her. And it is a generic leader ability, right? So it's not going to tie Robin down to one particular archetype of cards. It's a purple and yellow kind of good stuffs kind of deck for now. But with that being said, I think there aren't too many cards that make it worth it at the moment. But I do see the potential. I think Robin does have great potential to be a meta leader later. She just doesn't have the tools needed at the moment, right? Kind of like a green yellow Yamato. We really didn't see like the full power of that Yamato deck until they got access to like a bunch of more green Wano support. I think like 2 sets later, right? So yeah, it could be the same case with Robin for now. But who knows, maybe all the tools she needs are already existing in the current card and no one's just figured it out yet. We'll need to see when more people brew with her. Okay, first card, Usopp, Vanilla Usopp. Way to start things off. So yeah, we got a vanilla. There aren't any Straw Hat vanillas that are higher than 6 cost, I think. Which is weird, right? Or maybe that's by design? I don't know. But yeah, another 4-drop vanilla Straw Hat character. We have a killer card, so another Kid Pirates card. He got red ones in the last video. Now let's see what he gets in purple. So 5 cost 5k, that's a meh stat line for 5 Dawn. And he's not a 2k counter, so that's kind of meh. But what he does is on play, Dawn -1, you can untap one of your kid leaders. Oh, okay. So 5 Dawn, Dawn -1 to untap your leader to attack again. And the nice thing with the kid leader is that he can make himself a 7k, right? So you're attacking 7k twice, which isn't too horrible. Yeah, I guess can't really complain, right? So what's the max kid can attack for? So let's say you had a 5 cost kid out to get you back the rested Dawn, or the return Dawn back to active. So you play killer for 5, return a Dawn, it comes back, you have 6 active, and then you'll Dawn -1 again from your leader to make him a 7 plus 6 is 13. You can attack for 13k twice. Yeah, that sounds like a good way to finish games, right? Because Kid, the starter deck Kid swings 12k twice. I think Uta swings for the same amount. Red Purple Kid can do 13, so that makes him a little bit better in that regard. And you get a 5k attacker the next turn after too, if you don't win at that point. Yeah, I guess this is a power boost to Red Purple Kid, so maybe I'll try brewing with it once the set releases, or if it's on the sim too, I can do it early. Next up we have Sanji, 7 cost 7k power. I already know what this guy does. He's one of my favorite cards in purple in this set. So on play, you can return 1 or more Dawn from your Dawn field back to your Dawn deck, and then he gets Rush, and then you can rest one of your opponent's 6 cost or less characters. So yeah, there's a new caveat with the purple cards in this set. You can return 1 or more. That makes it really flexible if you run it in a generic purple deck. It only costs Dawn -1 to get access to a 7k Rush attacker that can rest. That is strong in and of itself. And then in a purple black Luffy deck, since you can return 1 or more, you can pick 2. 2 is like the perfect number you want, right? It's not so much that you're set behind, and it's enough that you get the free like refund from your leader ability. So actually 7 Dawn to play them, you get 1 active and 1 rested Dawn back from purple black Luffy's ability, so you can actually swing for 8k or something like that, or use the Dawn on your leader to swing for 6, so you get a 6k and a 7k out to hit your opponent with. And yeah, the fact that it rests at 6 cost or less gets around a lot of tricky blockers in the current meta. Sabo and Borsalino and Rebecca being the prime candidates here, because they're annoying as hell, and black likes to spam those characters out. So purple just having a way to kind of get around the blockers a little bit, right? If they play like 2 blockers, Sanji only handles 1, but sometimes 1 is all you need too. So yeah, just a great flexible option in Sanji. We also have John Bart. Jean Bart? Oh no, the katakana says John Bart. John Baru? Oh, there's no T. There's no T sound in his name. So John Bar. Why did it take me 9 sets to notice this? Okay, 4 cost 6k power. When played on play, if the number of Dawn cards on your opponent's field is greater than the number of Dawn cards on your field, KO up to one of your opponent's characters at the cost of 3 or less. The Google translations are getting a lot better. That's scary. So yeah, 4 drop to KO a 3 cost. And you have to have less Dawn than your opponent. I guess this is for that Red Purple promo leader. Red Purple Law promo leader. Not the original one, because that guy's banned. I mean, yeah, I guess if you cheat this out with your leader ability, you'll always have less Dawn than your opponent. And then popping a 3 cost though, that doesn't sound too great, right? It'll get a chump blocker, but that's like the least of your worries. So I don't think this saves Red Purple Law. I think the new one still sucks. But I guess he has card options. I don't know, I kind of wish they used these slots for support for other leaders. What other deck would it be good in? If you do run it in a purple black deck, you can use the black to cost reduce something, but none of the purple black leaders are like low Dawn leaders, right? They all kind of ramp to 10 as a like win condition. So maybe in an awkward spot for now. But if there's a future leader that likes to play at a Dawn deficit, Jean Bart could be a card for that deck, just not the Red Purple Law. Up next we have Jinbei. Oh, okay, scratch what I said. We finally have a Straw Hat vanilla that is higher than 6 cost. So 7 cost 9k. Jinbei, great. I love it. Just need a 8 cost and a 9 cost and a 10 cost. Oh, we have a 10 cost Luffy. Oh, 8 and 9. Make it happen, unless one already exists and I don't know about it. Up next we have 2020 Chopper, 5 cost 6k power, 1k counter. At the end of your turn, you can return 1 or more Dawn cards from your field back to your Dawn deck. You can activate this character, so you can untap him, and then he gains blocker until the end of your opponent's next turn. Oh, okay. So when you need it, he can be a blocker. And then if you don't use your purple black Luffy leader ability for anything, you can get the Dawn back with Chopper's ability. And that'll leave you with 1 active Dawn to use for an event counter, I guess. But I feel like most of the strong effects for Purple Black Luffy are like the on-play proactive ones. So you can utilize the active Dawn during your turn 2. This happening at the end of your turn makes it a little bit inflexible. And it's something you can't do, or you probably wouldn't want to do if you already used the leader ability for the turn 2. Because you'll actually go down 2 Dawn. I guess you could just do 1 Dawn if you want. Just to have a blocker out. Yeah, I guess that makes him flexible in that regard. But I don't know. If there's no other options, playing a 6k blocker is still not too bad of a thing to have. Up next we have Trafalgar Law. 1 cost 2k power. It is a Straw Hat or a Heart Pirate Searcher, but it looks for the top 4 and it only looks for a 2 cost or more. So yeah, it's a very restrictive searcher, but it does search for 2 different archetypes that usually don't mix. There's a funny story behind this card. I made my like Purple Black Luffy curve analysis video, and I was talking about the searcher options we had. We had the Event Searcher and then the Starter Deck Zoro Searcher, and I predicted that Bandai wouldn't be generous enough to give us a 3rd searcher for the deck, because that'd be like too many ways to guarantee like consistency in the Purple Black Luffy deck. And lo and behold, the morning after I uploaded that video, they revealed this card, so I guess there are a plethora of searcher options. But yeah, do note that it has to be a 2 cost or more, so it cannot search into another law itself. Not that you would want to anyway though, but yeah, that's what this law does. Next up we have Nami. So 3 cost 2k power, 2k counter. So it's a searchable 2k counter. On play, you can return up to 1 or more of your Dawn cards to your Dawn deck, and then you can give 2 Rested Dawn to one of your leaders or characters. I don't think you would ever want to play this out, right? It's like worse Brook. Brook is 2 costs and then gives 2 Dawn to something, so it's like it's kind of free. Nami, you return 2 Dawn and then your leader ability will ramp it back, and then you put 2 of those onto a leader or character. That doesn't seem worth it. I guess it's just for the 2k counter. Up next we have Nico Robin as well. 2 cost 2k power. Why can't they make Nami and Robin cards into like attackers? It's always Sanji and Zoro. I don't know. I would like some like attacking offensive Robin and Nami cards too, please. So it is just a blocker, 2 cost chump blocker. Not exciting, but the art's really nice. I kind of feel like it's wasted. Up next we have Frankie. Frankie, 4 cost 5k blocker. This is one of the better cards in purple too, I feel, especially for the Luffy deck. So on play, you can Dawn -2. It's not up to 2 or more, it's exactly 2. So it's only really good in a Purple Black Luffy deck, I feel. And then you can discard a card from your hand and then draw 2 cards. So it's like a reverse Queen. Queen lets you draw 2 and then discard 1. This makes you discard first, and then hopefully you'll draw 2 things you like. But yeah, it's still plus card advantage. And yeah, with Purple Black Luffy, this Dawn -2, you get it back. So yeah, just a great defensive card. You get blocker and then plus 2 cards that could be counter. And also a great target for Gecko Moria, 8 cost Gecko Moria. You can bring them back from your trash. So it's a really big tempo swing, right? You're developing a 9k body, 5k blocker who can be an attacker next turn, and then you filter your hand out as well. And you get an active Dawn back after your leader ability resolves. You also got Brook, 6 cost 7k, 1k counter. When attacking, you can return 1 or more Dawn cards. And then up to 2 of your opponent's characters get minus 2000 power for the turn. Okay, so it's like the red Brook, except 2 costs more. Kind of low impact having to wait to be able to attack, right? I think if you don't have a strong on play, and if your when attacking isn't like super busted, it cannot compete in this current meta. So this Brook is probably not going to be run. We got Beppo, 2 cost, 2k power, 2k counter. All of the Beppo cards are 2k counters, huh? For some reason. Oh no, this is a ramp one, and then like there's like a green one that kind of sucks too. Let's see, during your turn, once per turn, when a Dawn on your field is returned to your Dawn deck, up to 1 of your leaders or characters gets 1k power during this turn. I mean, would you ever play it out? I guess you play them out to bottom deck them to cheat out something else in your hand. With the new red purple law, the one that sucks, but then you're losing a 2k counter at that point. Yeah, I don't know. Kind of not gonna save the deck, I don't think. Okay, we have a new kid character, 3 cost 5k power, vanilla stat line. So on play, you can add 1 card from the top of your life to your hand. If your leader has the Kid Pirates type, add it to 1 card from your Dawn deck is active. Okay, so it makes you take a life. You're at 5 life, so I guess that is not too bad, right? You want to take a life anyway, because if you're at 4 or more life, your leader gets a 1k debuff actually. So this helps you get to your 3 life threshold where you can attack for 5k. Is it 3 life? Let me double check the card. If you have 4 or more life, yeah, so you need to be at 3 life. So this helps you get 1 step closer, and it goes to your hand too, so it's like a card draw effect. And then you ramp an active Dawn. Yeah, I could see it being run in a red purple kid deck, right? It helps you get to, once you're at 10 Dawn, this Dawn -1 effect is something you can just use every turn because you'll ramp the Dawn back anyway. So yeah, maybe red purple kid is something I'm gonna try testing. Yeah, that's on my list to test for sure. I'm curious now. Up next is Zoro, another Zoro card, 3 cost 5k power. This is what makes the purple black Luffy deck like run smoothly because he ramps. Because on play, you can return up to 1 or more of your Dawn cards back to your Dawn deck. You can add 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck is active. Then your leader ability activates, allowing you to return the 2 Dawn that you return with this Zoro back. This Zoro actually allows you a lot of flexibility too, right? If you play it on curve, you return 2 Dawn, you ramp an active, and then your leader ability gets you another active back, lets you attack with your leader for 7. So it like both lets you ramp and then it makes it so you're aggressive too. Just your leader ability in general with Purple Black Luffy, getting that active Dawn back means you can utilize it to hit your opponent with for a bigger stat line than they normally would expect from other leaders at that point in time. So I think that's one of the strengths of Purple Black Luffy. It's ramp and aggression, not just pure ramp. But yeah, this Zoro and any other purple deck, it does let you like return 1 Dawn and then get it back active at least, in case you want to squeeze out 1 more Dawn for your turn, right? It fits into those kind of curves, and he himself is a 5k attacker too, so it's not too bad to get 1 free active Dawn when you play him out, right? Yeah, in any other purple deck, you can just consider his effect as untap 1 of your Dawn, basically. Right, up next we got Gum Gum Thunder. It's a 2-cost event, Dawn -2, K up to 1 of your opponent's characters with 6,000 power or less. Then trigger, you can ramp 1 active Dawn. So yeah, 2 Dawn, 6k removal spell, which is great, right? And then in the Purple Black Luffy deck, you get the Dawn back anyway, so it's almost free. It's exactly free. It's 1 rested Dawn and you get 1 active back. So incredibly stat efficient removal spell. I don't know if you want to run it as a more than 2 of though, but for now I feel like this card, it's more of a tech card, right? There's some decks that tend to concentrate more on their top end. This card isn't as useful in those kind of matchups. Up next we have Rubber Giant. I'm pretty sure this card's called Gum Gum Giant. Yeah, it says Gum Gum no Giganto Ningen, right? Which is like gigantic person. So what does it do? It's a 1 Dawn event counter. Dawn -2, you can discard 1 card from your hand. If your leader has the Straw Hat Crew type, up to 1 of your leaders or characters gets plus 4k during this battle, then you can draw 2 cards. This is an amazing defensive counter event. It's only usable in Purple Luffy deck. So it's the 05 Purple Luffy and then the 09 Purple Black Luffy and Red Purple Luffy too, right? Oh, there's a lot of Purple Luffy leaders. But yeah, just from like the card text, it's bonkers, right? It's 4k counter for 1 Dawn, which is really stat efficient already. That's what makes Radical Beam good. But yeah, having the Dawn -2 means that you do kind of want to wait until you're at 10 Dawn to use this, because it'll set you back 1 turn of Dawn. If you're at 10 anyway, you just go back to 10 after going down to 8, right? You're not stuck at any Dawn threshold. And yeah, 1 Dawn counter for 4, and then you can discard a dead card from your hand to draw 2 cards, so it filters your hand too, which is something that all the Purple Luffy decks kind of need, right? Red Purple Luffy runs a lot of like top end cards with no counter. Black Purple Luffy also does the same, and then the Zoro can't counter too. And then Purple Luffy also as well, like the Polys and stuff like that. Luffy Taro, they don't have counter. So this getting rid of them to find you potentially more counter is like a godsend. You can potentially, if you're lucky, use this event to counter for 4, and then you'll discard non-counter and draw 2 more 2k counters, so you can counter for 8k in total for this 1 card. So just having that defensive potential into 1 event card like this, I just feel like it's such a strong card. One thing to note is the Dawn -2 with Purple Black Luffy, you don't get it back, right? Your leader ability only activates on your turn. This is a counter event, so it's when your opponent attacks you. So be aware of that. And then we have another purple event, 2 cost, Gum Gum Skipping Rope, Gum Gum Jump Rope. Let's see, on main, Dawn -2. So this is on main, so you do get it back with Purple Black Luffy. Rest up to 1 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. Afterwards, draw 1 card. So it's a good effect, right? You're able to rest a blocker, especially Sabo, right? He hits 5 costs or less. Sabo cannot be KO'd, so this is like Purple's way of getting around those blockers. But the thing is, if there's that 7 cost Sanji that also rests similar costed characters, why would you ever want to run this card, right? Wouldn't you want the card that comes with the 7k body attached with it? So I don't know. And also trigger ramps you Dawn too. I don't think this card's gonna be run. And it's like purely due to the fact that there's that Sanji. Let me bring him up again. This Sanji, right? It rests at 6 cost, so it's a little higher too, actually. And then you get that 7k body along with it. So if you count that 2 Dawn for the Gum Gum Jump Rope as the 2 Dawn of this cost, you're also getting on top of that at 5 cost 7k Rush Attacker. So yeah, I think that makes Sanji itself better than just playing Gum Gum Jump Rope. Kind of sad that they wasted a slot for that. I guess it could be run in other purple decks. No, then you just run the Sanji instead, right? I don't know. Oh, there's a stage card too, 1000 Sunny, 1 cost. During your opponent's turn, you can rest this stage. When your character with the Straw Hat Crew type leaves the field due to your opponent's effect, you can add 1 card from your Dawn deck rested. Huh? What's the purpose of this? So if your opponent removes 1 of your Straw Hat characters, you ramp. Is that worth the 1 Dawn investment? And if your opponent never plays any removal effects, you don't ramp, you don't get any benefit out of this, And then once you hit 10 Dawn, you don't get any benefits out of this. I don't think this stage is good. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you ramp fine without this already anyway. So I don't know what the benefit is. Another wasted slot. Alright, we're moving on to Blackbeard. So it's another monocolor leader, 5000 power, 5 starting life, mono black. And yeah, he has a game warping leader ability. Because your own on-plays are negated, and then you can activate main, you can discard a card from your hand. Your opponent's on-plays are also negated until the end of their next turn. So you can just outright remove a mechanic from the game, but you also don't have access to it yourself. And yeah, the caveat is that black has like pretty much all the good on-play effects, especially with Akos Kakemoria. This Martial D Teach leader cannot run those cards, but also can deny your opponent from running it. So if Blackbeard does become meta, I think the meta will like pivot around him. Decks that are good against Blackbeard without having to rely on play effects. And if not, I think he's still a potent like tech leader, depending on the meta that you could decide to bring if you suspect that it's going to be like on-play heavy meta in like your local scene or something. But yeah, very, very matchup dependent. Let's take a look at the cards though. So we have a vanilla Blackbeard Pirates, Avalo Pizarro. Okay, he exists. Up next we have Van Augur, 5 cost 6k power, activate main. This character can be rested, and if you do that, and then if your leader has the Blackbeard Pirates type, up to one of your opponent's characters will have their cost reduced by 3 during this turn, and then on KO you draw a card. So he's kind of like worse Laboon. Let me bring up Laboon for you guys. This one here, right? 4 costs, if you rest him, you get -4 costs to something. That is a bigger discount than Van Augur. It's 5 Dawn to reduce by 3. The only upside he has is that if you do KO him, he draws you a card, which I guess, I don't know, I'd rather play the Laboon to be honest, but yeah. In all instances, I think I'd play Laboon over him, but Van Augur is searchable in a Blackbeard Pirates like deck. You have Katarina Devon too, 5 cost 6k power, 1k counter, activate main once per turn. If your leader has the Blackbeard Pirates type, you can gain double attack, banish, or blocker until the end of your opponent's next turn. Okay, so it's a very, very flexible card, right? If you need it to be like aggressive, you can pick double attack or banish. If you need it to be defensive, you can pick blocker. So I guess, I don't know. Yeah, I guess the flexibility also makes it like an interesting card inherently. So maybe this card is run in a Blackbeard deck. If there's no other better options, I guess we'll look. So Gecko Moria, 4 cost 5k power. On play up to 1 character card with the Thriller Bark Pirates trait type, and with the cost of 2 or less from your trash in rest. Out as rested. Okay. What would you want to play with that? I guess like Sindris and stuff if you need to mill more. Other than that, I don't think there's anything else you want to play out. Alright, it says Sindri in Inupe. But yeah, this Gecko Moria is something you can cheat out with the OP06 Gecko Moria's leader ability, if I remember correctly. Let me bring them up just to verify. Yeah, you can play a Thriller Bark Pirates character with the cost of 4 or less, which is this Gecko. Yeah, I guess in that regard, you're cheating out 2 characters, right? You're playing out this Gecko and then like I guess you can play like Cerberus too, a 2 cost blocker, and then Inupe. He cycles 2 cards for you. Yeah, maybe Inupe is the play with the Gecko Moria, right? Cycling 2 doesn't sound too bad. Yeah, I like it. And it's probably for the Perona deck, because Perona can search it, maybe? I don't know, who knows? Maybe 06 Gecko Moria can run this card too. Then we have Jesus Burgess, Jesus Bajes. Oh, so the G is a Je sound. And it's not Jesus, it says Jesus here. Jisasu. So this character cannot be KO'd by your opponent's effects. Oh, he's 4 cost 5k power. If your leader has the Blackbeard Pirates trait, this character gets plus 1k for every 4 cards in your trash. I guess just being unable to be KO'd by effects is good. If there's nothing else better in the deck to play. Yeah, he's resilient and he just gets stronger as the game goes on. Then Charlotte Pudding, 2 cost 0k power, 1k counter. On play, if your opponent has 5 or more cards in their hand, they discard a card from their hand. So 2 down to make them mill 1. Isn't there already a card that does that? Yeah, Negative Hollow makes them trash a card outright for 2 Dawn. Pudding makes them trash if they have 5 or more cards, so it's more conditional. But she does have counter? I don't know. I don't think this card is going to be run in any deck. Then we have Shiryu, 3 costs, 4k power, 2k counter. So our first Blackbeard 2k counter. Dawn times only when attacking, you can discard 2 cards from your hand and draw 2 cards. Okay, so it cycles. But can't complain, 2k counter. It's kind of like that Mihawk from the starter deck. Okay, let's see. Another Blackbeard Pirates 2k counter. Stronger. What does Stronger do? 1 Dawn, 0k power, activate main. You can discard 1 card from your hand and place this character in the trash. If your leader has the trait Blackbeard Pirates type, you can draw a card. Then after one of your opponent's characters get -2 costs. So it's like a Great Eruption, right? But slightly worse, right? It's a Great Eruption that costs a card in hand. Because Great Eruption replaces itself. For this, you have to get rid of Stronger and then another card. And then you replace the other card. So you're still down 1 more extra card. But yeah, it's a -2 cost effect. for 1 Dawn, so I guess that's not too bad. We have Doc Q, 2 cost, 0k power, 1k counter, activate main. You can put this character into rested mode. If your leader has a Blackbeard Pirates type, KO to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 1 or less, and then on KO, draw a card. So this is just a good early like KO engine, right? You don't have access to Jack until your 7 Dawn turn, so if you need something like earlier to get rid of something on board, you could play Doc Q. You have a plethora of ways to cost reduce something to 1 cost at that point in time, right? There's Ice Age, and then we saw Stronger too, gives -2 cost to something if you really need to get rid of something early. And yeah, and if he dies, he just replaces himself, so that's great. And oh, I guess Stronger is in this card. I don't know who this guy is. I don't know too many of the Blackbeard Pirates crew. I guess they were revealed in the manga at some point that they have names. We have Vasco Shot. I remember this guy. So 2 cost, 2k power. Oh, he's just a blocker. Okay, the guy I recognize is a pretty tame vanilla card. We have a Marshall D Teach character, Kid Blackbeard, 3 cost, 4k power. Activate main, you can put this character into rest, and then if your hand is 3 or more cards less than your opponent's, draw 2 cards and discard a card from your hand. That sounds garbage. You need to meet a very strict condition just to be able to draw 2, discard 1. And then Teach himself is not a like sizable body to attack afterwards too, so it just feels like a waste of 3 Dawn. Oh, we have a 10 cost Teach. This guy I know is good. So 10 cost, 12k power blocker, and then activate main once per turn. If your leader has a Blackbeard Pirates type, then this character was played on this turn. So it's like a pseudo way to say on play that you can actually use in a Blackbeard deck because you don't have access to on plays. So what he does is negate the effect of up to one of your opponent's leaders during this turn. Then after that, negate the effect of up to one of your opponent's characters until the end of your opponent's next turn, and that character cannot attack. So this is like the Enel killer, right? It blocks any of your opponent's leader abilities that activate on your opponent's turn. So that's like Bonnie, Enel, stuff like that, even Shanks too. And then you can also, on top of that, pick a character on your opponent's field. It loses abilities and can't attack, so it loses blocker, it loses activate mains that they may want to use or something like that. And regardless, even if you hit a vanilla with it, it can't attack, right? That's what makes the 6 cost 8k power boa strong. And then despite all that goodness that I just mentioned, he's also a freaking 12k blocker, right? That's a attacking stat line. It's a wall that your opponent really can't attack over as a blocker, so you get 1 free block a turn almost. So yeah, just amazing card in black. And it's not type block. Oh yes it is, never mind. Right, your leader has to be Blackbeard Pirates, so I don't know, I guess just still having a 10 cost 12k blocker without the negating part, that's still good, right? But we'll have to see how the meta shapes up. Moving on to Pink Beard, Momohige, but his beard's not pink in the art, but it's just a vanilla. Great. We have Lafitte as well. 1 cost 1k counter. He's like the tap searcher in the Blackbeard Pirates type, right? You tap him, you look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Oh, you pay 1 Dawn, you tap him, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, and then search for a Blackbeard Pirates type card, add it to your hand. But yeah, if he does survive to the next turn, you can just use it every turn that you can keep him alive. Then we have an event. It's My Time, 1 cost event. On main, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 card with the Blackbeard Pirates type other than another It's My Time, add it to your hand, put the rest on the bottom into the trash. So it mills yourself and it finds you a Blackbeard Pirates card, but it only searches 3 deep, so it's like a brand new without the body. Maybe, yeah, because black wants to fill their trash anyway, so this could be good. And then activate main, you get to trigger it as the main effect for free, so that is also good too, right? Whether you pay 1 Dawn for it, which is really cheap, or trigger it, you get benefit. Up next we have Dark Water. 2 cost event, counter event, negate the effect up to one of your opponent's leaders or characters this turn, then give them -4000 power. Yeah, it's like a basically 2 Dawn 4k counter, except better than that, because the -4k persists, so if they have a way to like untap a character to attack again, it doesn't get to do that. Well, it keeps the debuff, right? So they can't really attack into you again. And then it also negates an effect. I'm gonna have to look at like the Q&A, but I think when attacking effects still activate, because they already attacked, right, at the time that you're countering. So what would you want to negate? I guess if a character had like banish or double attack or something, you could negate that, so that if you do get hit by that character, you don't like face any of the downsides of banish or double attack. And I guess there's sometimes where you want to like nullify your opponent's leader ability in case they didn't use it yet before attacking you. So yeah, this is there as a defensive option. Then on trigger, you can negate one of your opponent's leaders or characters during this turn. So yeah, great to trigger out too. It makes your opponent have to decide what order to attack you. You have another event, Dark Cave, 4 cost event. On main, if your leader has the Blackbeard Pirates type, nullify the effects up to one of your opponent's characters during this turn. Afterwards, if that character is a 4 cost or less, KO it. 4 Dawn to KO something. I think you would rather just play like Jack or Doc Q for your KO outlets, right? Because those even get around the 6 cost Basil Hawkins because they have to tap. So Hawkins has no target to rest to keep himself alive. The only benefit this has over those cards is it negates something. I mean, I guess you could use it to get rid of a blocker for the turn to attack into your opponent's leader, right? Like, let's say a black yellow Luffy has a Sabos out, you can negate it with Dark Cave. They can't block with it. Even if you can't KO it, you can... Oh, you can KO it, right? If you can make Sabo into a 4-cost, and then if you negate it, does he lose the immunity to KO? There's gonna be a lot of Q&A looking up when this set releases, I think. But yeah, if you can, like, give -1 cost to Sabo and then play Dark Cave to just outright get rid of him, that makes it better than Jack and Daku in that regard. But we'll have to see. And the trigger lets you negate a leader or a character. So same as the other trigger. There's also a stage, Honeycomb, which is Hachinosu in Japanese. I guess that is Honeycomb. So 1 cost event, activate main, you can discard 1 card from your hand and rest this stage. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 Blackbeard Pirates type card added to your hand, place the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. Okay, so it's a 1 Dawn investment to filter your hand every turn for 1 card. That helps you like make it a little bit more consistent to find your 10 cost Blackbeards. I guess that is like what you want to aim for, right? So yeah, I can see this card being used. And in the future, if you draw more Honeycombs, you could always just filter that Honeycomb out of your hand with this Honeycomb. So I feel like this card will be run in Blackbeard. If playing Blackbeard means that you have to like chain your 10 cost Blackbeards back to back, this stage would help with that a lot. Because the only other searcher is Lafitte, right? Okay, we're moving on to yellow. So the yellow leader was Nico Robin, who we went over earlier. This is the last color of the set, so bear with me. So we have Karasu, who they translated as Crow. I guess, yeah, that is what Karasu means in Japanese. So 3 cost 4k Revolutionary Army type character. So it's not an Ohara type character for the Robin deck. And it has blocker and trigger. If you have the Rev Army type, your leader has a Rev Army type, and the total number of life cards in each player's hand is 5 or less, activate this card. I'm gonna need to translate that better. I think it's saying if the total number of life cards between you and your opponent is equal to 5 or less, then you can trigger them out for free. But yeah, I guess this helps Bello Betty. You can run a full Revolutionary Army type deck now. You don't have to depend on cards like Kikunojo and Sanji and like Satori, right? The yellow cards in your deck can be all Rev Army cards now. That means that you'll always have fodder for your leader ability too. You're never gonna whiff on it. The trigger isn't as guaranteed though. You have to be at 5 total life. Is that hard to do? So Betty herself starts out at 4. Your opponent's either 4 or 5. That means your opponent has to like lose 3 life and you have to lose 1 or 2 life. So if you trigger this out when you're at 4 life or 3 life, you're probably not gonna get too much value out of it. It's not gonna trigger out. I kind of wish that the threshold wasn't as steep. I wish it was like 6 or 7 life even, but that might make it too strong. No, but he himself is just a 4k body, 4k blocker. But I guess with Bello Betty's leader ability, it makes him 7k, so that's why he's at that stat line. We'll have to see. Is this a red-yellow Sabo card? Probably not. But yeah, I want to revisit red-yellow Bello Betty now too. So Betty and Kid are like the list of old decks I want to revisit. We also have a Kuzan character, 4 cost 5k power, Navy type on play, place up to one of your opponent's characters with the cost of 3 or less face up on the top or bottom of your opponent's life. Then your opponent discards 1 card from their hand. I mean, you can get rid of a 3 cost and not really get rid of it. You put it in life to have them take it to hand. They do have to discard a card. I don't know, it's just kind of convoluted way to remove something. I think there's better cards in yellow to achieve this. You have Dr. Clover, it's a 2k counter, Ohara counter. Then on play, if your leader is Nico Robin, look at the top 2 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 trigger card added to your hand. So yeah, a trigger searcher for Robin that is also a 2k counter, that is very flexible. Then trigger, you could just get the on play effect. Oh, but that way you don't get it as a character out, you just get the search, but it's fine. Right, it's like a card that goes to hand that you can target into a like specific card with trigger instead. Or if you don't want to do that, he's still a 2k counter, so you're glad to get him in life. There's also a Koala character, Rev Army, 6 cost 6k power blocker. On play, you can add 1 card from the top or bottom of your life to your hand, and then you can place 1 character card with the trait Rev Army and the cost of 4 or less from your hand out on the board and draw a card. So it's kind of like forcing one of your own triggers, and you're actually a +1 in card advantage, right? Not only do you draw a card from your life, but you're also drawing a card from your deck. Oh, but you do have to play a card from your hand out. But yeah, it's basically trigger your own life. And it's more like guaranteed too, right? You could get a card on top of your life that doesn't trigger out something out. So Koala just forces it to be a character trigger in a sense. And then she herself is a blocker. The only downside is that when you're at 0 life, you can't get the full benefit out of Koala because you don't have life to take to cheat something out. But I guess at that point, she's still a blocker that you play when you're at 0 life. So yeah, is this more of a Bello Betty card or a Sabo card? I guess it could go both ways. And in a Sabo deck, you can cheat out a 4-drop and then it'll be like a 4 cost 6k, right? You put a Dawn on it, make it a 7, and then heal back on top of your life with it. So I guess you could do something like that. And then in Bello Betty, yeah, you're cheating out characters to buff for 3k. So yeah, flexible koala. We have a character, Sabo, 7 cost 7k power, 1k counter. On play, add up to 1 character card with the Rev Army type from your hand face up to your life. After that, if you have 2 or more life, add 1 card from the top or bottom of your life to your hand. So this also sets up your life, right? You can put a Rev Army trigger on top of your life, and then at that point in time, if you have 2 or more life, you can take like your bottom life card. So it's like you're filtering your life. And then the extra upside is that if you're at 0 and then you play the Sabo, you can just heal, right? It basically heals you when you're at 0 life. So that does buy you like an extra turn to take a hit at least. Maybe not always an extra turn, but at least 1 more hit that you can take that you can guarantee to be a trigger that you can attack into your opponent with if you manage to survive this turn. Yeah, worst case scenario, it filters a life and sets up a trigger. Best case scenario, it heals you. So I think the Sabo is really good in both Bello Betty and Red Yellow Sabo. Up next is Sanji, 5 cost 6k power, 1k counter. He just has a trigger. If your leader has the Egghead type, add 1 card from the top of your deck to your life, then discard 2 cards from your hand. Okay, so it's like a, what's that card? The 10 million to 100 million vote Amaru trigger. You heal and then discard 2. And it's in a 5 cost 6k body, so yeah. I guess Vegapunk gets 1 other option into the deck that saves him potentially. Right, if this is your last life card, it'll save you, for sure. Because you heal regardless of if you have cards to discard. It's just that if you do have 2 cards after you heal, you have to discard them. If you have no cards in your hand after that, you still get the heal off. We have Nico Olvia, 1 cost 0k power, 2k counter, so another 2k for Nico Robin. On play, up to 1 of your Nico Robin leaders gets plus 3k power for this turn, so 1 Dawn for 3k power buff if you need to be offensive. And again, Robin has Banish, so it's awkward for your opponent to have to defend against that. They want to defend against it. And then on trigger, if your leader is Nico Robin, you can draw 3, discard 2. Great filter. Super amazing filter. It's like a Shirahoshi filter. Up next, we have a Nico Robin character, 6 cost 6k power. On play, if your opponent has 3 or more life cards, place the top card of your opponent's life into the trash. So it's like you banish the top life. When you're at 6 Dawn to play this Nico Robin, your opponent usually is at 3 life anyway. Especially if you're attacking with your leader, they'll expend counter to not have to banish their life anyway. So if they do that, you play this Robin, they're forced to banish. So either way, whether it's by your leader attacking or this Robin on play, your opponent loses life that doesn't go to hand. Then on trigger, you could play a yellow character card with the cost of 3 or less from your hand into play. So even as a trigger, it's not bad. You don't get to play her out, but you get to play another 3-drop if you have it. So yeah, I like this in a Robin deck. It's not type locked to Robin too. You can use it in any yellow deck. Maybe even Katakuri could use this pretty well. Up next, we have Kuma. Bartholomew Kuma, 4 cost 5k power. He just has a trigger. Oh, it's a 2k counter. Okay. If your leader has the Rev Army type and the total number of life cards is equal to 5 or less, you can play it out. Okay. So it's like the Karasu trigger. And yeah, the fact that it's a 4 cost 5k means it's an attacking body and then 2k counter. This is definitely a Bello Betty card, I think. I guess you could run it in Sabo too, but I think it fits better in Bello Betty. Right? It's like more conditional but more consistent Rev Army card for Bello Betty. Right? Satori, same stat line, same effect, but no life threshold. But this one is a Rev Army card that you can discard to activate your leader ability. Up next, we have Jaguar di Sol, that Google translated to Jaguar di Sauro. So he is a 3 cost 5k blocker. And then on trigger, if your leader is Nico Robin, you can cheat him out. I mean, I guess it's just vanilla, right? You can't complain. He has blocker too, so that's a little different from the other vanillas. Yeah, and this is one of the 3 costs you can cheat out with the 6 cost Robin's trigger, right? Next up, we have Pierre, 2 cost 2k power, 1k counter. Is this a Kalgara card? Oh no, it's not. Sky Island. When played, on play, draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards from your hand. So 2 on the filter. Dang it, I thought this was gonna be a Kalgara card. So it looks like no Kalgara support. On trigger, you can just play him out for free. And then 5 cost 6k Brook. No card effect, but he has a trigger. So it's an Egghead card. If your leader has the Egghead type and your opponent has 6 or more cards in their hand, your opponent must discard 2 cards from their hand. Ooh! So early on, if you heal this with Vegapunk, your opponent will like never attack your life because they don't want to lose 2 cards. So this would be like a very good deterrent early on, and then you could use your leader abilities to cheat out more characters on board, and your opponent will have to like dump their hand to get under 6, and then they'll attack into your life, and then you get this Brook. Yeah, I like it. It's like a very strong deterrent to being attacked compared to the other Egghead cards. Up next, we have a Bello Betty character. 3 cost 4k power. It looks like all the yellow ones are 3 cost 4k, right? Well, it's just Karasu and Bello Betty so far, because Kuma was 4 cost 5k. But yeah, on play, if you have 2 or less life, draw a card. Ooh, that's good. And then if your leader, yeah, same trigger. So if you have 5 total life, between you and your opponent, you trigger her out for free. And at that point, if you're at 5 or less, maybe you're at 2 and your opponent's at 3, you get to draw a card with this Bello Betty and then leader ability with it makes her a 7k. I like it. I'm excited to try out Red Yellow Betty. We have Molly too. It was a Manila Rev Army, 4 cost 6k power, no trigger though, so I don't know if it's going to be run in a Bello Betty deck. Maybe Sabo? No, in that case you'd run other cards in Sabo. Because Sabo is not type locked. You can return any 7k to your top of your life. So I don't know what deck this is for. But he looks really cute in the art. Up next is Lindbergh, 3 cost 4k. Let's see, on play, if the total number of life is 5 or less, K up to one of your opponent's characters with the power for 2000 or less. That's not as relevant, I don't think, unless you want to get rid of a chump blocker. I guess it gets rid of like Rosinantes and stuff, but it's still a trigger body, right? I'm pretty sure it has the same trigger. Yep, if the total life cards is 5 or less, you trigger them up for free. One thing I want to note is that, yeah, the red triggers, you have to discard a card in hand. So your down cards in hand, yellow ones don't, but it's based on total life. So there's that trade-off too, right? It's a free-ish trigger. There's no resource to pay to play it out. All right, up next is, okay, we've gone to the events, so set's going to be over soon. So Ice Block, Double Spike Spear, 1 cost event. On main, KO to one of your opponent's characters with the trigger with the cost of 3 or less. That's very, very specific. What the heck? I mean, I guess in the art, it explains what card it's for. It's to kill the Sol. Because Sol is a 3 cost 5k blocker. This kills a 3 cost with the trigger, which is what that card is. And in the art, he's getting like destroyed here. Well, you gotta do him like that. Come on. And then on trigger, you draw a card. This card's not going to be used, I don't think. Up next, don't underestimate a miracle. So it's another Rev Army event. Okay, I'm giving up all hope for Kolgara support. So 1 cost event on counter up to one of your leaders gets plus 2k power during this battle. That is the bare minimum. Let's see what the trigger does. Play up to 1 card with the Rev Army type from your hand with the cost of 4 or less. Okay, I think that makes it good, right? It's basically a character trigger that you can pull from your hand, right? Because sometimes you draw your character triggers, your Rev Army ones. If you triggered this event, you just play it out, and then worst case scenario, you have a 1 Don 2k counter. And worst case scenario, you can chuck this card to pay for your Bello Betty activation effect to get plus 3k to everything. So I don't know if there's space in the deck for this card, but I could see its merits. We have Deresh. So Dereshi is a 3 cost event. On main, look at the top 4 cards of your deck, reveal up to 2 cards with trigger other than Deresh and add it to your hand. So it's like Sanji's Peel Off, except it searches 5 deep. It's still 2 cards, but it's a lot more selective. You can pick the 2 cards, but they do have to be trigger cards, and then on trigger you draw a card. Yeah, I can see this card being used because Sanji's Peel Off is used too. This is just, I would venture to say this is better than Sanji's Peel Off, and even has a trigger too. Alright, the secret rares of the set. Goldie Roger, 10 cost 13k power. That's 1k more than most other 10 drops. He has Rush, so 13k swing right away. And then if your opponent activates a blocker, if either you or your opponent has 0 life, you just win the game. This is the card that's going to save red. I think red is now going to be meta, right? In situations that your opponent is at 0 life and they just want to block her up to prevent your redness from winning the game. Roger completely denies that, right? They have to be able to counter out of it. But usually people want to stay at 1 life against red anyway because we have access to Diable Jam. So that's where like this Roger can be played in a different way. Because even if your own life is at 0, that counts too. So you'll take life, go to 0, set up so that your opponent can't like block your like lethal swings at the end. So if this only counted your opponent's life, yeah, I would say he's not too great. But the fact that you can kind of play around it by getting yourself to 0, I think this card is gonna really make things really interesting for red. And even despite that, just having a 13k swing that you have access to like the turn you play him, I think that's strong in and of itself. And then lastly, we have Monkey D Luffy. 9 cost 10k power, and then on play you can return 1 or more Dawn cards from your Dawn field back to your deck, and then you draw a card. This character gets rushed during this turn. So yeah, 9 cost 10k rush. Both of the secret rares in this set have rush, and they swing for big amounts. In a purple black Luffy deck, you get those Dawn back if you return 2 or more. So you'll be able to swing with him for 12k actually, right? If you commit on the 10 Dawn turn. You pay 9 for him, return 2 Dawn, get 1 rested and 1 active back. You have 2 active Dawns. You can attach 2 to him, attack for 12, or attach 2 to your leader to attack for 7. Or if you need Dawn for like event counters, you can get it back with this Luffy. But even despite that, it's only 9 cost, so you do have 1 active. And yeah, he draws a card too, so it replaces himself. And Rush is just such a strong ability. So I like this Luffy as well. Yeah, this set has bangers for secret rares, I think. Both Roger and Luffy are incredibly strong cards. And yeah, that brings us to the end of the 09 set review. So in this video, we did purple, black, and yellow. And I gave you my thoughts on all the cards. I do think 09 is going to be quite the exciting set. I'm liking pretty much every color except for green. Green I'm kind of not too impressed by, but yeah, yellow adding Revolutionary Army support is going to make Velobeti exciting. And then purple supporting purple Luffy, purple black Luffy, red purple Luffy. I think that's going to be really exciting too. We're going to see a lot more Luffys in the meta. And then black, yeah, Blackbeard could potentially be meta warping. We'll have to see. The set is going to be pretty crazy. And also, if you didn't know already, I covered it in the previous video, but OP09 is going to have 4 manga rares, SP cards, wanted poster cards, and then I think the English version is going to have a treasure rare. Probably, because we usually get that instead of the god packs that Japan gets. So yeah, be on the lookout for that when the set drops for us. It should come out in like December for us, so we're still like quite a few months away, but it's going to come out in Japan very soon, so we're going to see how it affects their meta preemptively. So I'm just very curious to see what ends up being meta or not. I still feel like Shanks and Luffy are the best bets. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought of the second half of the set. Let me know what you think of 09 in general. And let me know if maybe I missed something, misinterpreted something. I read the comments, so always open to being corrected and learning. And yeah, let me know if you like these videos too. I'm probably going to keep doing these for the foreseeable future for 010 and whatever. Like and comment, subscribe if you're not already, and my voice hurts, so I'm going to stop now. Thanks for watching, bye!
Card D Kaizoku.